This is Merchandise Mart. Transfer to Brown Line trains at Merchandise Mart.
So welcome to the Wyzendale Weekly Wrap-Up.
Doors closing.
Really quick before I hop into my guest this week, just some housekeeping things. We are expanding the team, as I mentioned to you earlier, looking for people for editing, video, graphics, and then also we're going to, the sponsorship is open now too, so if there's any sponsors out there. But yeah, I'm super excited about the guests. Go ahead if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Eric Kirkenmeier. I am the general manager of Soho House, Chicago.
Nice. And take it all the way back. You said you're from Chicago.
From Chicago.
From here.
Yeah, I was born and raised in the western suburbs.
Okay.
So basically spent half my life out there. Came down, went to University of Chicago for school when I was 18. So kind of did like half and half at this point. Been in the city ever since. Have really like enjoyed growing up in the hospitality and food and beverage industry and scene in Chicago, and kind of fell in love with it after I had a very short stint in the banking world.
Very, very opposite.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, I've really fallen in love with it.
Yeah. I like I was telling you earlier, I did a short stint in 2009, to 2011, 2012, and I had a great time in the hospitality industry, but my I could see it going fast.
Sure.
It's a fast fast lifestyle. So.
I mean, I think there's a break point for everybody. Yeah. Where you either kind of go all in and commit to making it a career, which can then take you in a bunch of cool directions that sort of get you out of the like day-to-day crazy grind of things that are gonna like give you back problems. Yeah. And get into some more of like the operational strategic things. And I've been fortunate to just sort of stick through like those moments of, do I keep going or do I like back down from it? And kept going, and have been fortunate to kind of get some of these really cool big jobs. So nice. Yeah. And
I saw on your LinkedIn that you were at the Ace as well.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
That was awesome. I mean, I had come from much more like, let's say, just like buttoned up or like rigid F&B experiences. And I'll never forget walking in on my first day, and the general manager of that hotel was like, okay, so we operate on the edge of chaos. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a big change for me. But in terms of what it was as a learning experience and sort of getting me ready for what Soho is in terms of, you might have like a drag brunch going on, you have Questlove doing a DJ set, and you have Mother's Day, brunches going on in the Alice all at once. Yeah. It was really good for me to learn that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And just to stick on Ace for a bit. So that is can you give us a little bit of background of what the Ace brand is? I guess?
They are 20 years old this year, actually, which a lot of people probably don't realize or know, at least in Chicago, because it grew up on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. And it really started from this guy, Alex Calderon, who he really started for him and his like skateboarding and artist buddies who needed a place to stay, and kind of treated it like, a home away from home for them when they would stay in Seattle and then Portland. And grew up on the West Coast, moved out to New York, where I think they like really made their name in Midtown. Moved to Chicago, opened, and the whole idea is it's very creative forward, artistic, well-designed brand and hotel, and that's what they really focus on. Yeah, nice. But it's cool because there's a lot of artists, creatives who no rewards program, no incentive. They just, when they come to a city where there's an Ace, they stay there. And
what do you mean by the incentives or rewards program?
There's no like SPG points or,
gotcha.
If you return, we're going to do this for you. So they just do it because they love it. They love the food and beverage culture of it. And, they're in a lot of great cities, and they're just expanding. Like they just opened Kyoto.
Nice. Yeah, we stayed in the New Orleans one.
There you go.
It was fantastic. I mean, just the little touches too. Like when we checked in, they had a little jazz playing in the room and had some strawberries. Just nice little touches that were fun.
Yeah, they're a brand too that, for people who, and I don't mean this in a, like hoity-toity way, but for people who are in the know about the design that goes into the hotel, you'll notice that they really never back down from bringing in like the coolest thing or the most expensive thing or the thing that makes the most impact on the room. It's like people walk into the Ace Chicago and they're like, I don't get it. Why is there this like plywood on the walls? And you're like, well, you know, that's this special plywood. It's like 3 times more expensive than normal wood. You know, it's all these treatments and everything like that. And so people who kind of can appreciate what they do to really go above and beyond, it's like it really resonates.
Yeah. And like you're saying, there's so many factors in the day-to-day as far as for Soho. Like, what is a typical week? I mean, I know we have a lot going on. I just checked for the events in February. Great event lineup. And
like All-Star Weekend's going to be insane.
Yeah, that's going to be
like actually crazy.
That's going to be nuts. How was New Year's Eve? Like, I guess how far are you guys booking out? And of course, if I ask anything that's
No, please. We are, let me just put it this way. We are planning Halloween right now.
Okay, great.
Like that's how far out things like that have to be.
Yeah.
So some like New Year's Eve, probably around like Lollapalooza, we'll start talking about it.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're kind of known for hosting these huge pinnacle events, like you can't go big enough or bad enough,
sure.
you know? So you got to start planning. But no, New Year's Eve I think was a hit. I think kind of redeemed ourselves from Halloween, which, you know, the whole thing with Halloween was we wanted to try off site because until we tried it, everyone would always be like, are you going to do it? And we had to see it to see what the challenges were, what the pitfalls were. And so we learned a lot from that, and maybe we try it again at some point, but I think everyone loves what we do when we're in the house.
Yeah. And I think the ability or the I guess courage to try something different, I mean, speaks volumes as well. I mean, you want people to always try things. And
we're trying to be fresh, you know, and we get it after 5 years. Sometimes you go like, oh, okay, show up to the house again and sort of the same thing. We got to ride the elevators. Yeah. So we gave it a shot, but you know, there's like a lot of logistical things that go into moving a 2,000 person party somewhere else.
Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of field trips I see like popping up a lot too. So that's pretty cool.
Well, and in the new year, one of our global initiatives is to host more out of house events and really try to give members experiences and exclusive access type things that make your membership worthwhile. Yeah. And give you something that it's not necessarily money can buy, but the brand equity can, you know, can bring. So I think that's a really cool initiative for 2020 and should be a way to not only make the memberships more valuable, but attract new memberships. Yeah. And I know that like none of that information is given out, but I think it has. I forgot when I joined, maybe like 3 years ago or something like that. I have seen it change. I think in the membership. I'm not saying I'm old, but it's definitely I've seen the membership change. Yeah. Which is cool. You know, I'm cool with it running like that, and I think that you know, overall, again, I think things grow and things change. Totally. Yeah. We talk about that a lot. I mean, members who are like, oh, you know, it's different than 5 years ago. And I'm like, well, you had a baby and you have a career now. And you live in the suburbs. So it's, exactly. So, you know, it's part of the refresh that we always have to be looking for new, exciting people. And, and then that, you know, the people who are hopefully sort of getting on in their years in the membership can offer guidance and experience and connections to new younger members, and that's the way that cycle hopefully goes. And there was a time where they had clubs like art club, film club, still do. They were on the Slacks. Like I think they had like their private Slacks, and I don't know. Still do. And I mean, like one that's really active for us is the tech club. Like they'll even call like more meetings in our schedule if they have an exciting project they're working on or something. Yeah. So nice. And I know that the Instagram, I want to talk about how it's private and now it's public, and like what was that thought? Or maybe that was before you started. I don't know how long you've been there. So it went public before me. Okay. It's been public for a little over a year. The idea was really just that, like, as the company grows, which it is growing exponentially, and it's very exciting, and you know, for our member base, like, you'll be able to stay in houses in more cities than ever before, which again, you know, adds great value to your membership. But as we're doing that, there became a need to make sure that we were communicating and that we were able to showcase the brand in a public facing way. And social media, obviously, at this day and age, is like one of the easiest ways to do that. So instead of feeling kind of like closed off and hidden behind closed doors, being more front facing and being public in the social media became the new direction, and we have a really talented central sort of support office on that are taking it in that really cool direction. So that all as a collective is introducing more people to the brand. And there's exciting plans in the works for how we can connect with even more people who want to be part of Soho.
Now, outside of Soho, where do you like to hang out, or where do you get your fine dining on?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Sure. So
doesn't have to be fine dining. It could be whatever.
No. I'll tell you this. My number one. We're actually right by it. My number one credit card charge eating last year was Bavette's.
Nice.
Probably 25 times in the year. It's my Sunday, Monday night spot.
Okay.
Go down to the basement bar. Yeah. Disappear into a quiet corner in the dark.
Yeah.
Shrimp cocktail, wedge salad, chocolate cream pie. Good to go, man.
Nice.
So that's that's mine and my girlfriend's number one go-to.
Yeah.
She's in the industry too.
Okay.
She's the general manager of Edda.
Okay.
So with Maple Nash and What If Syndicate Group. And for us, it's just about making sure that when we do have kind of valuable off time, we're taking care of the right way. And Bavette's always does that.
Absolutely.
Avec is probably my all-time favorite restaurant.
Okay.
She used to be the general manager of that. So
nice.
It's fortuitous for me.
Yeah. So how do you guys see the industry change, or the hospitality scene kind of change? Because I think that it has changed a lot, obviously, with everything that's going on over here, and then some of the spots in the Gold Coast, like you mentioned. But have you guys seen an overall service change? Yeah,
I mean, I this is the part that I could talk for days.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll say it this way: a lot of what I talk to peers and people who want to know about the industry, a lot of what I say is 5, 7, definitely 10 years ago, if you had your water full, menu was spieled, all the allergies were known, cold food's cold, hot food's hot, ambiance is perfect, designer furniture, all this, you were like, we're at Everest, we're in a Michelin starred restaurant. And now you go out, and that's just the baseline that Chicagoans expect. We're very lucky to live in a great dining city. And so that creates an intense competition, right? Because what is our middle tier here would be in a lot of other cities the top tier. I think it's changed in that chefs want to find great flavors and simple dishes. It's not a huge amount of tricks and crazy, magic tricks behind the food. But what Chicagoans expect from your baseline is delicious, great service, great ambiance, and maybe something that makes your place unique. And if you don't do those things, it's moving on. I can eat at a different one of you every single night of the week and never come back to the same.
Yeah.
So when I talk with peers, it's a lot about what are we doing to make people return guests? Chicagoans are fiercely loyal when they're fiercely loyal. And when they're you're just average, they just move to the next.
Yeah.
So, and I don't blame them because there's so many options. So, when it used to be that the scene had sort of some institutions and not that many options, now the world's your oyster.
Yeah, and I think the restaurant group thing is blowing up too, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody's associated with different restaurant groups, and now it's a whole, and now there's different styles or brands within the restaurant groups.
And one of the things that's really advantageous for those restaurant groups is that if you have a great experience, so when I used to work for Boca, if you have a great experience at Swift & Sons, you can pretty much trust that you're going to have a great experience at Momotaro. You can pretty much trust that when you go to Boca proper, you're going to have a great experience there. And people stay very loyal to the groups because they understand that they know what the experience is. And that even creates a fierce competition between the groups because you kind of end up staying within that bubble.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot, man. It's just the competition is wild. And in that sort of middle of the pack thing, you really have a ton of options. I talk to people a lot about the fact that if you want to open a great taco stand that services a 4-block radius in Humboldt Park or something, that's still totally doable.
Right.
Won't make a ton of revenue, but totally doable. If you want to open what I like to call experiential dining, so RPM Seafood, it's a huge 3-tiered thing. It's going to be booked for 2 straight years. totally great, but you need a ton of capital. And middle tier of like the, great new American fare restaurants, there's stiff competition.
Do you have any insight like how the James Beard came to Chicago, or what was that all about? I mean, I know that it was big when it happened.
It's huge, and
but
it's still
huge.
huge.
I didn't know if it was a contractual thing, that the reason why it came over here.
Still huge. I think that it's going to be here and it's been re-signed. Rom had a ton to do with it. Saw the value in sort of bringing people this way. I mean, New York is the hub, right? The dining hub. No matter what Chicagoans do, we can have the greatest restaurants, but New York just has so much density, and so many people want to make it there. Like if you make your restaurant there and it succeeds, it's like that's the pinnacle, right? So a big part of it was Chicago was going through its dining and culinary revolution, but also was to try to pull the New Yorkers away from New York and that people from LA to the middle of the country and the people from the South to the middle of the country, and sort of make it easier for everyone to connect without everyone going to New York and then watching New York win all the awards. Yeah. Right. And it's still doing that. It's bringing, I think, more people to the awards and shedding more light on regions and cities that wouldn't otherwise have it. And that's a great thing for James Beard. It's a great thing for the country. Yeah. And when you look at some of the past winners in these last couple of years, I mean, a restaurant from Birmingham, Alabama won Best Restaurant of the Year in 2018. So it's like, that's an incredible thing. Yeah. It wouldn't normally happen, but I think it's shed light on more of those type of places.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that from the design side, it was Atomic, which was in for 75 and under, and then over was Pacific Standard Time. Yep. Made by Parts and Labor, great firm. Yep. Awesome fucking design. Yep. And what's the difference between the James Beard, obviously the James Beard, but the
Banchets?
Yeah, the Ginny Banchets.
Jean Banchets.
Jean Banchets. Yeah. What is that?
I would say it this way: if you've ever been to a Banchet Award, it is much more centered around the people that know each other in Chicago. It's a Chicago-only awards. Okay. So James Beard's nationwide, but it's also much more about recognizing people on a more personal level. And Michael Muser, who's the MC, does a really great job, I think, of making it fun and interesting and light.
So when you say private, I mean, is it open to the public too, or no?
Oh yeah. You can buy a ticket. Yeah. I mean, it's more personal. It's like, they're able to sort of crack inside jokes and talk more about like things that everyone in the room knows about. Okay. Whereas when you're at James Beard, if you have an inside joke about the restaurant that's in Minneapolis, like I probably won't know it. Right. But with Jean Banchets, it's really fun because it's much more personal to the people who are in the room. Gotcha. So yeah, and that's a great one too. I actually, when I'd opened Cherry Circle that year, we won the John Bon Schaefer design and then won James Beard for design in 2016.
Damn. Yeah. Nice. And there's a design award for that as well. Did they just happen? The John
Banchets just happened. Yep.
Okay. I believe there's a design award. I wish I had the. I don't know if you know it off the top of your head for
who won
restaurant. It was like an interesting name, maybe like 4 or 5 letters. I know that's not very descriptive.
No, I can't remember, but we should look up the list. Yeah.
The Hospitality, James Beard, shit. Land and Sea. Yeah, I mean another restaurant group. Yeah, that's
I work
great
for them. Yeah,
experience. Yeah, it's that's. I mean, what was the?
I mean, they'll honestly tell you that they are a creative design firm. Yeah, first and foremost. Yeah. Actually, tying it to something else, I don't know if you saw Cody Hudson. One of their owners just had a line for Nike.
I did.
Right. So, something like that. It's actually crazy. They actually.
Yeah. I have him on my target list actually to try to get him on.
There you go. Yeah. Super cool guy, and I mean his experience is wild. Yeah. They own some of their people own something called Mode Carpentry too. Okay. So they have this. They run the gamut of all these things that go into restaurants, but then they expand past that to things like the music industry and design and art and fashion. And I mean the way they look at their spaces is let's make something really cool, and then we'll kind of figure out how to fit a restaurant into it. Yeah. Instead of the other way around, which is like let's make the most efficient thing we can, and then we'll like put some plants there.
How big is the team there? Do you know?
They have 4 owners.
Okay.
And then their director list keeps growing.
Gotcha.
One of my good friends, Pete Smiler, is the group's director and oversees multiple properties for them. But
Cool.
yeah, I think they're still growing. They don't grow at like a rapid speed, but they're always looking for an interesting project. And their biggest thing on their plate now is growing the Parsons brand.
Okay.
Parsons Chicken and Fish. So that's expanding. Just went in Nashville, and
nice.
And they'll have more to come.
Yeah, and it's those ancillary things too, like the apparel.
Totally.
Did you see the apparel with Popeyes? By
No,
chance?
they did? No.
No, it was Gut, an advertising agency down in Florida, Miami maybe. They created a Popeyes like clothing line that looks similar to Beyonce's Adidas thing. And
Sure.
It was all
the Ivy Park stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was interesting. All the garments were $10 to $40, and all the proceeds went to some charity. But it was a really interesting part. So talk about denim. You were saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Mild Blend. Shout out to Mild Blend.
One of my favorite shops, Wayward, the other favorite shop. I hit those two whenever I'm on Milwaukee.
Yeah.
No, as I've gotten older, for me it's about finding like investment pieces.
Yeah.
Kind of classic Americana, but also things that make like are exciting to me. I'm a huge sneakerhead. Mm-hmm. I know today I'm wearing boots, but it's because of the snow and slush and all the crap outside. Yeah, but I'm a huge sneakerhead, and that was really a way for me to start expressing myself when I wasn't wearing suits anymore. At Ace, I didn't really have to wear a lot of suits or even denim. Mm-hmm. So I was finding kind of that is like a all black plus whatever sneaker you got on.
Yeah.
Going back to Soho, I'm not wearing my jacket, but it's on the couch over there. Wear a jacket and jeans a lot. And so for me,
do they encourage a jacket still, or just like
for GM for taking meetings for that sort of thing? Yeah, it's good for most people know. And it's obviously always about just like having good style and expressing yourself that way. Yeah. But I for me it was like finding cool brands like Kato and stuff that
which we're wearing the same jeans. Those are for those who are watching on video, it just happened that way.
And Mild Blend's a cool outlet for that. They always have the best stuff, and they've introduced me to some cool brands and like Banks Journal and Kato, and I have one of their like chore jackets too that I was saying, and Naked and Famous and Iron Horse and all these kind of cool brands that they've turned me on to. So
and do you I guess how do you go to like conventions at all? What type of conventions do you go to? I don't know if you go to anything specific for
anything for like denim
for hospitality and fashion.
But I've been to like the sneaker cons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Complex Con and try to go to those. That scene though, man, it's so crazy. Savage. It's so savage. Yeah. I'm the guy who is more willing to pay an extra whatever on the resale on StockX or GOAT than I am to
go down there,
like be in that.
Did you go to Complex Con when it was here?
Yeah, I went to Complex Con, checked that out with my boys, and
nice.
I mean, like today, I was trying to hit on the red and black 85s and reserve them with the sneaker pass, and like my finger couldn't click fast enough, right at the dot. And it's like the bots and stuff, man. They make it so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So, that is a crazy culture.
But I've been fortunate to get a few kind of like cool investment sneakers. So lucky in that way.
So when you're investing in like yourself, as far as like the sommelier and things like that, so what was that process like?
At the time that I was doing that thing, and trying to learn more about wine and just getting some of those certifications, the way I looked at it was, as I was going up in the industry and going up in operations and the level that I was doing it, it's easy to sort of let the day-to-day floor things fade in the background as you're talking P&Ls and, huge numbers and running the business side for whatever ownership group or, investors you have. And for me, it was really important that I still had those kinds of qualifications to round out my resume.
Yeah.
So that I could speak intelligently to the actual product and what people liked and didn't like and why they liked it and didn't like it, but also talk to you about your business and their strategy there. Mm-hmm. And it was just a way for me to invest in myself and keep current with what was going on.
Yeah.
I ultimately would love to do more of it.
Yeah.
But as your day to day gets like even crazier, it gets harder to do.
There's only so many hours.
Yeah, and like
day.
level 3 is like it's a lifestyle change.
What level are you?
2. And
Okay.
it's a lifestyle change. It's like that has to be the forefront of your brain all the time. So credit to people who do it.
What is the main, I guess, difference between 2 and 3?
2 is it's blind tasting, but it's also a little bit of theory and a good amount of geography. 3 is, imagine you're writing a dissertation in college, and that's like the thing you think about when you wake up and the thing you think about when you go to sleep. It's getting to that level. And then 4 is obviously the master level, which there's only, I want to say 300, don't quote me.
Okay.
Like 300 in the country.
Okay. So how many 3s would you say are in Chicago? Like, is that
in Chicago?
Is that a big
So
group?
I think the last time I knew, there was like 1,200 in the country.
Okay.
So in a major market like this, that's not New York, 25 to 50 people. But
and I'm assuming they're all with restaurants.
They're pretty much all with restaurant groups, or they're with wine sellers. People like Tenzing, Cream, H2 Vino, those groups. They sell for them and distribute for them because it's like so valuable to have their skill set.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pallets for sure.
No doubt.
And then talk about bourbon. What type of bourbon do you like? I know you.
Yeah, no,
we have the Widow Jane here from Off Premise.
That's cool.
Friend, actually another Soho House member, Allie. She picked it up for us.
Yeah, I saw it. It's cool. It's from New York. Yeah.
Yeah, New York, and then I think it's made down in Kentucky, and then brought up to New York. But yeah. So you said you like bourbon? I
love bourbon. I really got introduced to it. I would say back when I was at a restaurant called Gather up in Lincoln Square. If you haven't been there, it's the best hidden gem restaurant far north that you could go to.
Is that the double? Is there 2?
It's Gather and Warbler. Yeah.
Yes.
Huge shout out to those guys. Like, honestly, if you're looking for a great place to go and you don't want to break the bank, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Ken Carter's the chef. He's a Trotter alum. David Brio's the owner, operator. He has an amazing resume and experience, and was at Park Hyatt and Nomi when they like won their star and stuff. So really cool guys.
Nice.
But David introduced me to bourbon. Really took off when I was with Land & Sea because Paul McGee, the beverage director, had this incredible list. What we were doing there too is we were bringing a lot of house barrels on. So we were able to select barrels from these awesome distilleries. I got super into Buffalo Trace Distillery when I was there. Before Roses and
and I explain a little bit more about the barrel. Like when people buy barrels, I didn't know until I was hanging with Adam at his shop, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I bought this barrel."
Yeah,
I was like, okay, what is that?
So what's cool is you can go to the distillery a lot of times and select a barrel. Like I just did it at Ace with Koval. Okay. So up on the north side. Yeah. And I mean there are very noticeable differences about an individual barrel, especially if it ends up being single barrel like this. So it's not blended at all. And it can really affect kind of like how you think about that going into a cocktail or mixing it. Definitely the alcohol percentage. And when you have an opportunity to do it, then it kind of feels like yours too. You like own it. Yeah. So when I was at Land & Sea, we ended up, I think by the time I was done, we had like 14 house barrels, which was a kind of a cool part of the program. And it just got me even more into it.
So you purchase the whole barrel and then they bottle it and then send it.
And they'll usually like label it for you and send it along. And
because this is the
Delta
barrel 1964 and then bottle 3.
Yeah.
So the barrel number and then the bottle.
Right. And then the date. Kind of tell you where it came from and how unique it is.
Position of where it's at.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know, it became, I think is a lot of like whiskey drinkers maybe not all, but a lot of whiskey drinkers, you start to drink like old fashions and they're super sweet and you put a lot of, dem in them or a lot of simple syrup. And then you start to back that down as you go because you get like a little bit more used to the heat and a little bit, you appreciate the flavor more. And so this is the progression for me. And then it went from, started doing that to like, okay, I need like the tiniest bar spoon. And then it was just like, a good glass of bourbon, on ice or neat is like a great way to either start a meal, after a meal or just relax at home.
Yeah, like I was telling you earlier, man, the like burns, man. I get that mad acid reflux, esophagus erosion.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier the first podcast, the other podcast that you were on.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about that one too?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to do something for the DePaul's Hospitality School.
How did they reach out to you, or how did they?
Our people and development director, she had a connection with the person who heads the department for them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And it was really cool because he wanted us to come on from the perspective of career and recruitment and how, you know, being in private members club is different a little bit than like the rest of the hospitality scene, but also how students could get into that and what that looks like and what the work's like. So that was a cool experience. And you know, I tell people a lot, the reason I ended up sticking with restaurants, F&B, hospitality is because there's very few other opportunities to manage and lead a big team like there is in F&B and hospitality so quickly. And I was really fortunate to go from like leading a team of 30 to 60 to 215, 185 the next one. Now it's 350. And that's kind of unique. Yeah. And then the other part of it for me was always the instant gratification. You serve someone a meal, they look up at you after 2 hours and go, man, that blew my mind, right? And you're like, yes, like we did it, you know. So for me, that was a big part of it. And I'm a competitive guy, you know. I kind of told you earlier, I played soccer in college, and that's always been a big part of my life is making sure that I have competition. If she's like sort of feeds a fire in me.
Have you watched total sidebar? Have you watched the Netflix special, the one about the coach down in Sinaloa, the Mexican coach?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, worth checking out.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
Okay, cool.
But go ahead. So then, so what did they talk to you about, or how long was it?
That was like I think we ended up doing like 40 minutes or so. Okay. You know, and really it was from the perspective of Viviana and the people and development side, and then also from me just talking about the business and you know how we service our members really. Yeah. Which is cool. That for me is really like in the forefront of my brain all the time. It's like, how do we make right by our members?
And do you see if you could talk a little bit about the private member like club thing? I know there's another one. There was like a health and fitness club that was opening up in Chicago as well. Do you think the private thing is...
If you're talking about Kevin Bame's buy-in, I actually just saw him today at the Hoxton Hotel. And
what's
we were
the name
talking
of it again?
Yeah, buy-in, I think.
Buy-in,
B-I-A-N.
Yeah.
He was just talking... Kismet, man. I was talking about it with him today. So he's excited to do that.
Has it opened yet?
No, and that club's going to be a little bit smaller. It's like 1,600, he was saying.
But it's health focused,
Yeah,
right?
Health and wellness focused, which has always been a passion of his. No, I think there's more competition all the time. You know, the wing opens. Everyone's got a co-working space that they're opening now.
True.
The idea of private members clubs and private dining clubs are becoming really common in places like New York and will spread here. So I think for us, it's like, what do we do to stay best in class? What do we do to keep it exciting and interesting? And how do we adapt to the times when, like I said, a lot of people are looking for co-working spaces. Yeah. How do we adapt? How do we still feel like a club, a community?
Well, you guys redid the fifth floor there. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, we're always trying to stay fresh, and there's more plans to come, and you can't ever just rest on it and say like, hey, that house is done forever, you know? Right. So again, one of the global initiatives for Soho this year is to refresh some of the houses that need the love. And for every beautiful new one that gets built, like downtown LA, it's like you need to look back in the catalog and say like, how can we make the past ones great too?
Yeah, I haven't been to the Hoxton co-working space.
Okay.
I know I want
it's
to.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
they did a great job.
Yeah. The wing also, props to all the ladies over there. I mean, that's a great program. That building is actually the most expensive. It was the most expensive commercial sale of a building in there in 8811 Fulton. Yeah. So if anybody's familiar with that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The whole area. I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
And you watch it grow and build.
Definitely. So what else as far as the hospitality scene? What are the thoughts, like movers and shakers or things we should watch out for?
I think just who's going to be like the next big restaurant group. You know, I think who is ready to take a little more piece of the pie, and something like I was talking to you earlier, you know, the Maple and Ash group, the what if syndicate. You know, they have more exciting stuff on the way. There's a couple, you know, other kind of smaller groups that are coming up, and it'll just be exciting to see. I mean, what it takes to enter the market now. Yeah. There's so many talented people who are doing it that, like, you can find good chefs, you can find good managers, you can find people who, you know, want to start their own. It's just about trying to figure out what sets you apart. Yeah. You know, everyone thinks they're going to open the next great American restaurant. Well, okay, we'll see. So it's like, what are you doing that is special?
How about the pop-up scene? I know that you know that's a thing. The Crazy. Private dinners are a thing too.
I actually have I'll do a little plug. I have a friend. His name's Eric Reeves. He runs a pop-up called Salt Spoon. Okay. And he does it from his place, and you would be hard pressed to find a better meal. Really? In the city of Chicago than what he's offering for the price point. And it's one of the coolest experiences. I've been to like 12 of his dinners. We rented it out for like private dinners and have had like celebrations and holidays and stuff. Oh, yeah. You know, family did Christmas one year doing it. And you see a guy like that who's so talented because he's got such a huge repertoire of front of house, back of house experience. He was a chef at points. He's now the general manager of City Mouse at Ace. Okay. And you look at someone like that who has all of this experience and can do something like that, and you just realize like the city has incredibly talented people. Oh my God, yeah. And you know, that guy, you could easily try to figure out investors and get that thing turned into a whole restaurant.
Yeah, and it's out of his place, you say? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I remember the last. It just felt like forever that Nosh and Booze and Nosh there on Maple was always. Yeah. They had horrible HVAC problems, but that's besides the point. But they were always like that pop up, and like they're like, oh yeah, you know, it's gonna go another month. It's gonna go another month. But like even the commercial side is getting into it. Like yes. That Friends pop up that's down.
Saved by the Bell. Like
Saved by the Bell. Or whatever, like those are huge activations.
I mean, I think people are looking for, they're looking for something that's like kind of a flash in the pan. Like, how do I create this buzz, you know, for a minute. From the, I think, more sustainable side, there's so many people that want to collaborate between chefs and like culinary teams or bar teams. You know, that's been popular for a while and it will continue to be popular.
Like collaborate between teams, what do you mean?
So, you know, let's say like the Lost Lake team, you know, will head down and I want to say like there's a bar in Houston called like Anvil or something, or they'll have them come up and do, what did they do a little while ago? They did like a disco theme, like a Southern disco theme. Okay. And you know, people do that as a way to like keep things interesting, keep things fresh. Yeah. Bring something from a city that Chicagoans don't necessarily have easy access to, and bring it here and say like, okay, you know, you can try this food or these drinks from this creator, this chef, without having to travel.
Yeah, it's similar to like that War Pigs. War Pigs, and there was like, I don't want to say the collaborator because I know I'm gonna fuck it up, but I saw it out in when we were in Copenhagen. Okay, I think I went to one of their.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Like you get this access to these chefs and these bar directors and stuff that like you don't have to travel.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
You know, but that's going to continue to be popular. It's just a way for a restaurant or a group to infuse life into something that maybe is like for their customer base.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's profitable to do the pop-ups? I mean, it is. Even if you have the mindset of it only being open 6 months or whatever, maybe.
I would, for those kind of like huge installation pop-ups, yes. I think for things where you're just bringing in a chef or like a beverage director, it's more to create a buzz and to keep your restaurant feeling fresh or your space feeling fresh, your hotel, whatever. But I mean, there's been such huge success with those like Saved by the Bell and you know, those kind of pop-ups that every year when the holiday pop-up bars come back, people go wild. So I don't see those slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, those definitely do. People are definitely attracted to those.
They go for them.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
Sure.
Quick shout out to OFS, to Stacy and Courtney for hosting us in our nice little lovely fireplace here. But
Right.
any last words? Anything else?
No, just thanks for having me on.
Can people follow you anywhere? Are you on social media or anything?
Yeah, and so just my last name, Kirkenmeier,
Okay.
on Instagram or whatever, and I don't post often, but you can always get in contact with me that way if you want to.
Great.
And if you'll see my face on the Soho Instagram and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm there. But all I would say is if anyone has any interest in hearing more or wants to talk, I'm always game for that. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man. Yeah,
Cool.
I shot you an email. Cheers. So,
Cheers.
The way that we got in contact, just for everybody, is that Soho sent out your email,
Right.
and then I responded to you, and I said, "Well, you should have had a picture or something."
That's
You're
exactly
like,
it.
We're working on it.
Yep.
So.
went up on Instagram
Yeah.
the next week. Yeah. So
Well, cool, man. Well, thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Your safety is important. If you observe unattended packages, vandalism, or suspicious activity, inform CTA personnel immediately.